All right, welcome to the Sarah Pitt Show from Sarah J Pitt's Business Development. I'm your host, Gordon Wat, and with the other main person, Miss. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, me.
That's it's and today's topic, guys, is going to be we're going to go off chapter 10 from her book. Stop doing it all. If you haven't gotten it, here we go again. I changed my background. Sarah, you're supposed to hold up your book.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
And
Stop doing it all.
stop doing it all. If you don't have it, if you're not following her on Facebook, if you're not following her on YouTube, please reach out to her, leave some comments. If you're doing if you have any comments or problems with solo entrepreneur and being overwhelmed, she's your girl from over the pond. But today's topic is when a plan comes together and how beautiful it is, right?
Oh,
When everything
love
comes
it.
together,
Love it.
this is that we're moving now. We're going from going up like this to now we're gonna even heal. Now, when Sarah wrote this book, it's for you, it's for the solo entrepreneur, the business owner, or the person just starting out and being overwhelmed in business. We went through several chapters: the overwhelm, the closing, the other things of how she came about doing all of this stuff. Now we're gonna go when a plan comes together, the pillars of it all. She's gonna explain in this video how the pillars all come together, how it's gonna relate to business, and how it pushes you to the edge of opening a door and putting it all together. Sarah, reintroduce yourself, figure it, let us know what we're going to do. And I'm going to start putting all of this together right now.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Pitt. I'm international best-selling author of Stop Doing It All. I help solo business owners to get over the overwhelm, to feel unstuck. You know, most of us, we start off loving what we do, and then we get overwhelmed by the day-to-day tasks that need doing, and then we end up just like feeling buried under the whole mountain of to-do lists. So it happens to everybody. It doesn't really matter how much money you're making. It all kicks in at some point, and you kind of have to stop and go, hang on a minute, just what's going on here? So I'm a creator of the Potent Productivity Method, and part of that method is what I like to call the 5 pillars of potent productivity. And they help you to create structure and balance across your business. And it's really easy for people in general, but solo business owners particularly, to get stuck in a rut of how they normally do things. So I use the example all the time. You've heard me say it loads of times, Gordon, that, if you can't decide what you're going to have for dinner, there's probably 4 or 5 of your go-to recipes that you always go to. It's like, oh, I can't be bothered thinking, let's just have this, right? And when we're in business and we're busy, then we just rush to do those minimum things, and we just can't, oh, well, I'll just do it this way, or I'll just do this, and then I can move on to the next thing. But what we don't realize is in doing that, we end up just doing those few things over and over again, and that ends up neglecting certain parts of our business. So I kind of divided the whole spectrum of business up into what I call the 5 pillars of potent productivity. And they are your goals, your customer care, adding value, spreading the word, and delivering on your promises. And you kind of might think, well, what's the point? Why do I need to call it that? I'm doing fine. What are you talking about? But one of the best examples of not having structure and things just feeling overwhelming is social media. We all have to create social media content. That's what we're doing now. But if you don't have a structure around that makes sure that you're hitting all of those 5 pillars, then it can be super overwhelming, because most people start from the idea of, oh, well, and if I need more leads, then I just need to create content and people will see it and they'll buy my stuff. But that's not how it works.
Nope. Because I understand, like, that's just part of the mentality that you might need, that you think you have. But in the pillars that Sarah just went over, it's like, excuse me if I look down here, but I got my notes, right? You got to have your goals. Like I have another whiteboard that I have to do. I have to get all my stuff done today because it's based on content, getting the leads, how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to use AI, what I'm going to post it to, and what I'm going to do, right? Then I got to think about customer care. like one of your other pillars, right? And other stuff. Then you got to add value. Like I'm just going to regurgitate. Now, if you have a problem with any of these, leave us in the comments. Hit the subscribe button on Sarah's channel, Sarah SJP Development, Business Development. And, smash that like button, figure out if you agree with these things, because these things will help you in the long run. Now, when you're doing all these goals, like give an example of a business goal you might have, right? And figure out how you're going to get there. Gary Vee talks about it. The content you create now is not going to pay off tomorrow. It's going to pay off a year later on. And there's a learning gap in between all of that, right? Now, you might learn how to use one platform. A platform might be giving you some insights on what do you do. Sarah, when you're working on your goals in your business and you're working with a client, what is one of the first steps you use?
Well, actually, when it comes to social media, I tend to turn the pillars on their head, right? So most people go through pillar 1 through to pillar 5. And then for social media, particularly, I just flip it. So we start with delivering the promises, right? So what do you have the capability right now of delivering on? Okay. So do you have a funnel in place? Do you have a freebie to give away? Do you have a group people could join? Do you have a messaging system that if they're replying to your messages, you can actually follow up with them? So that's the first place I can start from with social media, because there's no point in talking about anything that you can't follow up with, you can't deliver on.
True.
So that eliminates a whole bunch of stuff that you don't have to think about, because there's no point in talking about a topic that you don't have anything to add. You don't have anything to share with them.
Yeah.
You can have an opinion on it, but that ends up just being your opinion. And okay, you might get engagement, but if you're then overwhelmed by the amount of messages or private messages or comments you're getting on your posts and you don't have a system in place to deal with that, then that's not helpful, because people feel ignored. They're commenting on yours and you're replying back to them, then they just feel ignored. So that's the first step really for social media, to eliminate and narrow your focus. So this chapter really, this process is all about narrowing your focus, because when you can do that, you eliminate a whole bunch of stuff, which ends up just being a distraction. So the next step would be to, like you said, focus on the platform. So spreading your word is okay, but if you're posting the same stuff on 1 billion different platforms, all right, that's an exaggeration, but there is a lot now. You can't be everywhere for it, for everybody all at once. So if you hate being on Facebook because you don't like seeing what people are having for dinner, or you don't really care about what their dog's doing, then if you prefer the business angle of LinkedIn, then why talk to yourself on Facebook? Just go to LinkedIn and focus on there and do that job properly. And again, that's narrowing your focus. So now, all of a sudden with these 2 pillars, you have what you can deliver on and where you're going to post. So then you can get down to the 3rd pillar, which is helping people get a result. That's adding value to people.
Big.
What are you posting about that's going to help them move forwards with the thing that they're struggling with? There's no point in just talking about it. You have to be able to show them how you can help them. And then that's eliminating a whole bunch of other stuff that is not important right now. So again, that's narrowing your focus. And then the next pillar would be to use a variety of formats. And you might not think that doing that is customer care of any kind. But if you just love writing blog posts, like I love writing blog posts, but most people like video, and I don't particularly like it, Writing interviews and being on video is actually looking after my customers that like watching video.
I mean, that's part of, like you said, you hit the nail. It's part of customer care, because nobody knows you from anything. It's getting the word out, figuring out the platform. Some people like video. In fact, we can transcribe this video. In fact, we can use this video as the blog post. Some people like to read. Some people is going to read on their phone. Some people is going to watch videos. Some people like to hear it. Some people want to do other things. It all comes down to getting your reach with the pillars, customer care. And you said it the best. you take what's the big promise and you show them how to do it in their business. Because it comes down, people like to hear it, right? Like this past Tuesday, Alex Hormozy had a whole full blown thing, right? That he was selling his course and doing all this stuff. And I'm switching all my content. Basically, in fact, I'm doubling up because I'm switching all my video content from my channels into his platform. So now I'm doing, and then I'm reposting, regurgitating, doing things because I need to get these things on the topic that I'm doing, right? From that angle. Can I ask you this? How do you said the system has to be in place. When you're overwhelmed with so much things that has to be with business, you got to get leads, you got to create the content, you got to make the funnel, you got to test the funnel, you got to do the website, you got to make sure, in fact, you got to make sure that thing is working, you got to change the headline, nobody's working on it, you got to take some pictures. How do you systematically create these pillars so it infuses everything?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, before I answer that question, the final stage of that whole process is to
Oh, I'm sorry.
deliver on your goals, to
promise.
achieve your goal, which was to get more leads. So
Right.
if you're narrowing your focus and you're really concentrating on the people that you care about, then that in return will give you people who care about what you're saying. In answer to your question now, the best way to do that I've found is to simplify everything. We all think we need a fancy funnel and we all think we need all of these tools and stuff because that's what everybody else is doing. But if you're just starting out or you don't have any of that stuff or you don't know how to do any of that stuff, then don't. We've been doing business way before even money was invented because we were bartering stuff. So just don't worry about it. Deliver things in the way that you can deliver things right now.
True.
And do it and then grow. So if you're worrying about, oh, well, I don't know which funnel builder to use, or I don't know which platform to choose, or I don't know what this or what's the best, if you're asking what's the best, the answer is always what you have.
Correct.
Right?
I was just about to say. Yep.
If you only have a pen and paper and you can write down something and give it to somebody else and it's going to help them, do that.
You're right.
I mean, I did it with a client. She was going to a conference and she was worried that she wouldn't have the funnel and all this kind of stuff. And she was freaking out because she was like, oh, but I need to have something for them to give. I'm like, okay, do you have a list of all of the benefits of this program that you're talking about? Is it outlined anywhere? She's like, oh yeah, put it in a document. I'm like, okay, why don't you just print it out and take it with you? Or ask for somebody's email and share the link with them. And she's like, oh yeah, you don't need a funnel for that. You just need to give them the thing that's going to help them.
Right.
It might not be ideal. It might not be scalable right now and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter because you are where you are in your business.
Yeah, because the phase that you in your business, whether you're a solo entrepreneur, whether you're 10 years in the business, whether you're 20 years in the business, and you haven't figured things out, the shiny object syndrome that you have, that most of us we all had it. I still keep buying tools and trying out because I want to try to make my life much easier, right? In fact, with the use of AI, I create my own apps now to make my life easier.
Yeah.
But it helps me to do that. But you understand, when you're trying to make a sale or you're trying to close or you're trying to do an offer, like Sarah says before, your unique selling point, you got to have a few things. You got to solve a problem. You have to think about your avatar, your customer, what problem, and where you want to take them to, right? Now, it can be a simple text. It can be a simple follow-up. It can be a simple messenger. I'll give you an example. My links that we share with Sarah goes to Facebook Messenger. It doesn't need a whole follow-up, ManyChat, and all this other good stuff that it's like, you don't need it. As long as you can follow up, you can solve a problem, you can offer a certain price. The pillars that you have, though, that she's created in the book, gives you a systematic approach so that you can either work it backwards, you can pick or choose what you want. If you're like in customer care, right, and you want to solve their problem and you found your audience, Sarah talks about this. If you're looking for which platform you want to use, some people might like TikTok but they are comfortable with Facebook, right?
Mhm.
Or you might share a video from YouTube and you want to know how to clip it using this. It all depends what you like doing and how you're going to help the people figure it out. Now, the pillars that you have, how do you develop them?
Well, I didn't know. I can't even remember now. I think I was just, it's been obvious to me for a long time that I've always struggled with spreading the word. That's been my issue. It's been my stumbling block. It's been my doubt powerhouse, if you like. So I'm always resisted doing that. And I know that that's been a blind spot for me.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. And I also know that I put other people ahead of myself for a long time, especially as a business owner. So I focused on customer care and, my goals are, well, they don't really matter as long as I'm, earning something and, this, that, and the other. Well, actually, things changed when I started to put myself first. And I
Oh,
started doing the things that
absolutely.
I like doing. And I was like, I wonder how many other people are doing that. And then I started looking at how much of the business is about me. And 90% of it's about me. Because let's face it, if I wasn't doing it, it wouldn't exist.
True. 100% true. 100%. Now that makes a whole lot of sense because when you said the business is 90% you, you wouldn't have a business without you also, but you also wouldn't have a business if you wasn't solving people problems using these pillars, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah.
Is
Go ahead.
like my relevance to the people that I care about helping and my credibility in that area is really important, because if I don't believe in myself, if I don't believe in my own ability to help people and my unique take and my, what I'm doing that's different, and, just believe in myself a little bit more, then again, none of it happens because I'm just constantly doubting myself. And, so there was kind of like the pillars that came out of like, what are the tasks that I'm doing and how are they spread across my business?
That's a
And
good
that's
way.
really where the pillars are there, they come into play.
Right.
But before all of that, I realized that if I don't have my foundations set right, then it doesn't really matter how I'm balancing the tasks because I'm not going to do them. Because the doubt will kick in and create hesitation and do what I want, what I need to do.
Now, if we go back to what the title of this show is, when a plan comes all together, right? When you're using all these pillars that Sarah created, that you have in the book, that you created in the book, stop doing it all, guys. Leave us a comment if you're watching this on a replay. Watch it on the playlist, right? Because some of the highlights might be putting on our YouTube channel. Go browse around, check it out, leave us a comment, figure out what we can do, because she will reach out to you because she cares too much about you. To not feel, because she's been in that position. I've been in that position.
Yeah.
Even for the systems I created about selling on down in Las Vegas Strip. It's systematic, but you have to care about people. When it all comes together, how great is that feeling? Has come together. The relief, you're right, the relief, the validation, right? Everything coming together.
I've seen it so many times. I've seen it emotionally from solo business owners when their overwhelm just disappears.
Yep.
And I've also seen it from a physical pain perspective when I was treating people in the injury space.
Yes.
So I would call it like a weariness that comes over people, whether it's physical or emotional distress. There's like a weariness when you've been holding it for so long. People get tired and they wonder why, when it's released, they just want to sleep. But
you shut down?
No, they just literally, they need to sleep to recover because it's tiring holding on to all of that emotional stress. But the body language changes, and I call it getting your bounce back. Because people, they animate it. I mean, I can bounce up and down because I'm sitting on a football, but they literally get their animation comes back into their bodies. They get excited about things again. Their emotions start to come out in who they are and what they really love.
Right.
I did it with a client who was she runs a dance school, and she was literally ready to sell it. She wanted to try and build it up so that she could sell it because she was so tired of it. But what
It
she
happens.
wasn't tired, she was tired of the admin
Mundane
business.
task of running the business.
Yeah, but she really loved being creative and creating the dance moves and teaching the kids and all this kind of stuff. But she'd started to believe that she didn't like doing that stuff because she was
Because
so tired from doing the other stuff.
Right.
Helped her automate all of that stuff and hand it off to other people. And all of a sudden she has the time then and the brain space to get creative again. Now she's got another teacher on board. She's got new classes happening. She's got all these new ideas that she was ready to quit before. And it totally changes when you can streamline and systematize and, just really narrow in your focus on what you're doing and why you're doing it and get rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you.
Yeah, because now I noticed you wrote something in narrowing your focus, right? That you kind of went over that, but how does that help a solo entrepreneur instead of getting all that noise going around? When you narrow your focus, what happens?
People get super clear and they get really good at getting stuff done
Okay.
because it's like worrying about 10 different things all at once. It takes energy, it takes brain space, it takes thought, it takes effort. When it's not there, because you can go, look, you don't need to worry about all of that stuff, just focus on this and this. They're like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's really simple, it's really clear, and they just go and do it.
Right.
And they've been worrying about it and putting it off and making it out like it's this huge problem. And really, it's quite simple. But because they don't see it that way, it stops them moving forwards.
Yeah, because that can hinder a lot of stuff because you're not tackling the things that make you do the business instead of the business is doing you, basically.
Yeah, and it's just tiring thinking about a whole bunch of stuff all at the same time. When you don't have to think about that stuff anymore, it's just you just have so much more energy to do stuff. You just get it done.
Now, when talk about this thing about tackling the overwhelm, right? When you wrote in with tackling overwhelm, how does one start and what does it look like at the end? Because there's that in between is what I'm curious about. Because when you start tackling all the overwhelm, what would be the steps that you teach in some of your courses or your product potent formula?
Yeah, it depends. Overwhelm comes from doubt. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
If you're not sure about what you're doing,
okay.
am I back?
Yep, you're back.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So overwhelm comes from doubt. And there's that whole system of hesitation because you're not really sure about who you are and what you're doing. But then when you are really sure about what you're doing, you just run at it full force and then you spread yourself too thin.
Okay.
So then there's overwhelm from volume.
Okay. Yeah.
So it either comes from doubt or it comes from volume. And my process, the potent productivity method, helps you plug all of the gaps where the doubt can seep in. And then it helps you tackle the volume of tasks that you have to do so that you're not having to do them all.
For entrepreneur, like say we was talking about earlier, we was talking about a gentleman named Robert earlier, right? He might be overwhelmed and he might be doing this project, and you take him on as a client. What is the process you use, the questions you use in your PPM, your potent productivity method? I'm trying to pull some information to give our viewers a little bait there, Sarah, right?
I have worked with Robert. He's a lovely guy. He's got loads of ideas, loads of businesses, and he's written loads of books.
Okay.
And he saw each one of those books as an individual project.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, how can we simplify this? What is the common theme that runs through all of the books?
Okay.
And as soon as I said that, because it felt to him like they were on different subjects, right? Because he's got a vast amount of experience in different businesses. They're totally different. And he saw those books as being completely different. But
But
as soon as I started talking about the common thread that
yeah,
runs through all of the books, he realized that he could just talk about that common thread and then link to whatever book was most relevant.
right. Okay. That makes complete sense to me because like for myself, I'll talk about myself. I have a certain system I've used that made me survive in business, in situations, everything else. And I wrote a book on it. In fact, I wrote two, one in the hospitality industry and one on sales. I even made a work, right? The common thread is these 9 pieces that after I slowed down and broke everything down, like your PPM, your productivity method. Mine is the 90s of influencing people, right? Now, one of the main things that I found in common is I always made it about other people.
Mhm.
Am I approachable? Am I making it about them? Those are some of the things that Sarah pulls out of you if you want to work with her to have all this overwhelm snapped out of you. And she has the process to do it, right? Because she even has helped some big names in the industry that some of our mentors, this is how we met. So it's like in some of the industry, but now she's coming on her own and saying the overwhelm Miss Pitts had was she didn't want to get on camera. Now she's a regular. Now she's actually, guys, when I say the information this lady has from over the pond is just immense. And she's the most down to earth person to understand that she can help you out. She's helped many. For the sake of the book, stop doing it all. You don't have to do it all. She has the pillars, she has the chapters, she has the workbooks, she has the method trademarked, right? It's just a matter of time before you reach out to her, right? Because you can't do it all, right? And you don't want to do it. You lose that essence. You lose the passion somehow because, like, even the stories that we have, it's like, but it's so funny because some of the methodologies or the ideologies that you have, everybody knows it. They just don't have the direction.
Yeah, and that's people say to me, "Oh, this isn't the first time I've heard this, but
Correct.
it's the first time it's made any sense to me."
Correct.
And I'm like, "Okay, great," because there's absolutely nothing new in what people are teaching in whatever business they're in, right?
Correct.
Fitness industry, money, whatever it is, people have seen and heard it before. It's just your way of explaining it.
Right.
If people really enjoy the way that you explain it, great. That means you're helping a certain number of people that would never have learned it otherwise because they've listened to other people and it's made sense, but it just didn't, the penny didn't drop.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new on the planet. There just isn't. It's just the way that you do it and you
Right.
explain things. And I've said it before and I'll probably say it again and again and again, but the process is the thing. Your uniqueness comes from the way that you do that process. It's not the process that counts. It's how you do that process. You could take something as simple as making a cup of tea. There's some point there has to be boiling water. At some point there has to be something to put the boiling water and the tea bag in. And at
Correct.
some point there has to be milk or something to go with it. That depends on your
Absolutely.
preferences and how you like it.
Yeah.
But how you get that water to boil is how you do it. So do you have a fancy tap that it just comes out instantly boiling? Or do you go old school and put a pan on a hob?
Yeah.
How do you do it? Do you take the kettle to the tap? Do you fill a cup of water and take it to the kettle? It's just how you do things. The process of making the tea is exactly the same and has been exactly the same for hundreds of years.
Thousands of years.
Yeah.
Get the water hot.
Yes, exactly. It's just how you do things. And you're going to have arguments about this because people will insist that their way is right.
Oh, it's better.
Ultimately, it's just their way of doing it, and it's just
Yes.
a way. It's not the way.
Right. So let me ask you this before we end, right? What would be your closing remarks on the 5 pillars that you have before we go into, guys, stay tuned for next week's, right? Chapter 11. She said, she put in this is what she put in the chapter, guys. Old balls. How to keep them all in the air without dropping any. You can find out how she explains that. But go pillars, do a recap, and then we'll do that. We'll end it right there.
Yeah. So the 5 pillars basically are your goals, customer care, add value, spread the word, and deliver on your promises. And they are basically all the tasks that you have in your business broken up into categories. And you can just take any task on your to-do list right now and put it in any one of those 5 categories, whichever makes the most sense. You can color code it if you like. If it's written on a whiteboard or something like that, you can just underline it with a specific color. And then you can see very quickly, am I spending more time on my goals? Am I spending more time on customer care? What is it that I'm not doing a lot of? And it may be a strategy of yours that you're not doing a lot of maybe spreading the word right now, because you're going to go into a season of spreading the word like I have. You know, the first half of this year was building funnels and building products and all that kind of stuff. Now I'm going into the spreading the word. I'm spending less time doing those things.
True.
So that was a strategic plan.
Right.
But ultimate balance over the year. You know, so it's not like you have to do all of the balance every single day. It will balance itself out, but the business won't survive if you're neglecting any one of those particular areas. So that's really the 5 pillars are the tasks in your business and the spread of focus that you need to have in order to be successful.
If somebody's watching this on a replay, they left a comment, or you mean leave us a comment, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit that follow button, hit the notification bell, right? If you had a problem, right? If you had a problem that you're getting overwhelmed in business and you could use any one of these 5 pillars, right? Reach out to Sarah to see how she can refine it for you. Because this way she can put her claws in it, look at it, shake it up, and just give you the answer right like that. It's like Sarah has like the 8 ball, you shake it around. It's like, okay, you're going to do this, that, boom. And they go, oh, I can do that. Because that's what she's done for so many people, right? She's been in years in business. And if you haven't grabbed it, hold up your book, Sarah, because mine might come up. Stop. Because I have all this fancy. Reach out. If you're going to be watching this, stop doing it all. You can see watch the replays, watch the video here that's going to be posted up here somewhere. It's going to be, or reach out to her. Leave a comment. We do answer back. All right, guys. Yep. That's going to be, see you next week for I don't know where she came up with this chapter. How to keep them all in the air without dropping any old balls. I'm kind of curious to put it down. See you guys next week. All right. I'll see you next time.